Welcome to the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project. My name is Michael Stewart. This is my friend, my co-host, and the executive director of the Eden Project, Bren Briggs.
Good morning, everybody.
So glad to see you again. So the truth is that we actually do meet before this, and we had breakfast and kind of talk about life and the show and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's not like I just saw you like, man, look at your hair.
But we can. You always want to comment on my hair. Is it because I need a cut or something?
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and shiny.
Yeah.
So this morning, before we even get going, I want to go ahead and remind everybody how to reach out to us and how to, if you ever need to contact us and you're halfway through this podcast and you think, I'd love to know how to reach out to the Eden Project. Eden-project.com is our website, Eden, EDEN-project.com. Or you can call or text 678-632-5383. That's 678-632-5383. And we've been hearing from a lot of wonderful people from all over the country, which is a beautiful thing because, you know, we work the Eden Project, we've been working with local folks here. But to branch out and start hearing from people in other states, Montana, Nevada,
kind of cool.
Wherever. So a matter of fact, I think you mentioned somebody that was that had contacted us, sent us an email or something, right?
We've been getting a lot of comments, mostly like thumbs up and
Right.
people saying, yeah, great, good to see you kind of stuff. Nothing long. But we did get a comment from a listener. Is it a listener?
Sure.
We'll call them listeners.
Listener, viewer,
Friend, veteran, fan, from Pennsylvania. So we're here in Georgia, in sunny Trilith and across from the studios. But this was from someone way up in Pennsylvania who not only said, great job, and yes, they're commenting on what an awesome host you are.
No, he's talking about you because he said your interaction with the co-host. So,
well, I mean, our interaction. Okay. So you couldn't have one without the other, right?
Well, this is true because, Be My Myself is,
Yeah. Your interaction with yourself is awesome to listen to.
Yeah, you should hear me.
But so it is good to hear that other people are not only listening, but commenting and liking it and giving us, thoughts and ideas. So we've been putting comments at the end, like, hey, don't forget to like us and share us and whatever. Mm-hmm. Now that you mentioned it in the beginning, hopefully more people will comment. And
we do. We like hearing from people. Obviously, it's not, we don't need to be affirmed of what we're doing. We already know that what we do through the Eden Project and in this podcast.
But I like to be affirmed.
Yeah, but but everybody likes a little pat on the back once in a while. So Eden-project.com, that's the website. You can also search the Eden Project on Facebook.
Yeah.
And again, then that phone number is 678-632-5383. Now, the Eden Project is a veterans and active military's resource for mental health, helping those who need healthy mental tools and resources to deal with day-to-day life. I mean, that's such a big thing. And you, my friend, have been wonderful in doing this for many years now.
I think that's what sets us apart, or what I feel sets us apart from some of the other groups. There's a lot of great organizations, and I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Great groups that provide like one thing. They'll provide fishing or whatever it is that they do.
Right.
We collect all of our partners. And when the vets come to us or family members come to us and say, hey, we need XYZ, if we can provide it ourselves, we're going to do it. But a lot of times we can't, and we are happy to connect them with the other groups that do.
Exactly. We provide the tools to deal with reality.
Yep. That's, again, it's one of those things that there's a lot of groups that do individual things. Mm-hmm. Everyone needs to go fishing every now and then, and they need help with a VA claim or whatever it is. But we provide the mental health tools, the things we're going to talk about and have been talking about. So that we kind of pride ourselves on that.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. So here we go into our topic.
Yeah, and you said this. You kind of told the listeners that yes, we do have notes and we meet before the show, but I'm going to totally throw a curveball in here. And what we talked about last week in the 9 or 10 pages of notes we talked about last week, I'm going to scrap those. I hope you don't mind. I see your eyebrow going up.
You're the boss, man. You're the boss.
Every now and then you get something heavy on your heart.
Right.
And you're thinking, do I say it? Do I not say it? At least that's what I do. What I've learned lately is if you're feeling it, you just need to say it. Mm-hmm. There's a reason you're feeling it. You need to get it out there. So bear with me because some of this is I'm going to be rambling on, but this one issue has been with me over the weekend, and I feel like I just want to get it out there.
Okay. Go for it.
So over the weekend, I was talking with an old Army buddy of mine. And when I say old, I've known him for, 18, I think going on 19 years now.
Oh, okay.
We were in school in our career captain's course together, 6-month-long course. He and his family would at least once a week invite me over for dinner. So I was by myself and they were there. So they kind of adopted me as that wayward child. And
let's feed Bren this week kind of thing.
The one good meal that I was going to get, I always got with them. So we stayed in contact there. And then as luck would have it, I ran into him while we were in Iraq. So we were together in school. A few months later, I see him over there and we kind of lost track for a while. But I was watching and got to interact with him and his family and his amazing wife. And so I over the weekend, this thing kind of came up. It's like the tale of two families or two completely different concepts of how families operate, mm-hmm. especially in the military world. So Chris's family operated one way, and that's what I'm going to talk about them first.
Right. And
then there's, let's say, another family that operated completely different. So with Chris, with his family, she was super supportive, always complimenting, talking about he's a hero, he's supporting our country, and yes, he's not here, but he's doing good stuff, and that kind of
right,
those kind of comments.
Positive type of person.
Absolutely, and so when he's not there, the only sound, the only voice, the only opinion that the kids get to hear is what Mama's saying. Mm-hmm. And if she's filling them full of positive stuff,
right,
what do you think they're going to be thinking?
They're going to be positive young children.
How about that? And have a positive impression of Dad when he comes home.
Right.
So skip ahead 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever his deployment was. When he gets home, what kind of reception do you think he had?
Well, he got a great positive response from the kids. Dad, the hero.
It's like we talked about this already. Exactly. So that's all they know because that's what they're hearing. They're not seeing him. And this can be a her too, but in this particular case, it happened to be a guy. But we all know there's female warriors out there who deploy, and the situation can be the other way around. But they represent, this one half of the story or one half of the folks who deploy. So he comes home, just like you see on YouTube or some of these things where the family surprises him or he surprises the family, lots of hugging and crying and, oh, we're so glad to see you, that kind of stuff. Right. There's that side. But then there's another side. And the other side is, unfortunately, I haven't done statistics or run analysis to see, the odds of one or the other, but this is almost just as common as the first story. The second one is that stay-at-home parent who talks all the time about how lonely they are, how overworked they are, how depressed they are, those kind of emotions and feelings. Mm-hmm. So again, not to put you on the spot, but what kind of feeling do you think that puts into the kids?
Well, I know, first of all, those are real emotions, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure people feel those, but I would suspect that when you voice those aloud to your children, and that's all that they hear, they're probably going to get the opposite of what we were talking about with the other family.
Exactly. So they're hearing the negative stuff, the unhappy stuff that we all tend to go through. Mm-hmm. But when that's all they hear and they see, now instead of Dad or Mom in some cases, but now instead of Dad being that hero, being that guy who's protecting the country and providing for the family and is patriotic and all that other good things. Now dad's a villain. Dad's the bad guy. Dad's the one who caused all these problems for mom, and all the things that are going on bad in her life is his fault. So just like in the first scenario, this guy comes home. What do you suppose his homecoming is like?
I'm going to guess it's just not as pleasant. It's not as fun as the other one.
Yeah,
it's maybe a bad guy.
It's a cold reception. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in that spot, thinking, if the only thing I know about this person is he's made my mom unhappy,
right?
I'm not going to jump in his arms and say, "Welcome home. I've missed you," and so forth. And that's kind of, sadly, that's what happens to a lot of these families. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's one of those things where the person purposely sets out and says, "How can I screw up this this family?" But it happens. Mm-hmm. Unwittingly. People tend to talk about the negative stuff, and those seeds, those thoughts, those feelings, emotions become the reality for the little ones who are listening and focusing. Mm. So sadly, this homecoming was nothing like the other guy's homecoming. It was, now you're the enemy. You're the bad guy. You're the one who caused all these problems. You're an intruder. What are you doing in my house? You just caused all those problems.
Yeah. And mommy's sad because of you, daddy, you know, or whatever.
And now you're in the house. How much worse is that going to be? So what we find is the homecoming, the battle at home, is sometimes worse than the battles or the war that they faced while they were downrange. So that's kind of what hit me over the weekend. It was the dichotomy of the different types of families and what happens when one is super strong. And that first scenario, by the way, they've got like 20 some odd years of marriage. The kids are doing great. They're kind of getting into that retirement time where everything is that Norman Rockwell picture of that's how things ought to be. Mm-hmm. I think it hit me over the weekend. I was reading that we've got a lot of military folks deployed right now. We have some Georgia guys who are down on the border. You hear that noise?
It's like I think they're dragging people by the doors out there.
That's kind of funny. I think I'd leave that in there. Anyway, we've got Georgia National Guard who are on the southern border. We've got Georgia guys who are in other parts of the world. We have people all over the country who are deployed around the world. I think that's why this hit me so hard, that there's a lot of people deployed now, and I think this coming up year there's going to be even more. So we have an opportunity right now to kind of maybe change the impression and change and help folks maybe think about what they're going to say and do while their military person is gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we said a little while ago, these are real natural feelings, and I'm sure when somebody's deployed and you've got the whole weight of the world on you, and you might feel like you're alone on that, but it's what you portray to those around you,
right? And
usually often the kids, because they're sucking up like sponges and such, and sharing that with them, those and a lot of those emotions and those things that they hear become part of them. Like we talked about last week in last episode, the things that you involve yourself, the things you're around, the things you focus on, are what you become. And if a child hears a lot of negative thinking or negative thoughts throughout their young lives, they're going to carry that into adulthood.
Absolutely. I'm sure my buddy's wife had the same exact feelings. I'm sure there were times she felt alone. She felt depressed. We all get depressed. I would guarantee that all that stuff went through her head too, but it's a matter of what you communicate and what you choose to talk about and share and be around kids.
Exactly. And it's there are groups that will listen to your feelings and such like that. There's church groups, there's best friends, there's things like that. Children are often the ones that you're wanting to keep those negative thoughts from. Again, for the simple reason that that's what they become after a while. But we don't want to discount that those feelings are real.
100%.
They're natural,
absolutely.
and you definitely have every right to feel them. But it's sort of like when people get divorced, they use their kids as tools and such, and then they start saying bad things that, to the children about the spouse, and it's just not a good thing to do. I mean, I'm not in agreement with any of that, if you know what I mean.
So. Oh, yeah, I completely understand that. So I know I got us off topic. I know I shifted what we were talking about. Please, thank you for letting me kind of ramble on about that. But I felt it was important over the weekend. I think, with the folks who are deploying, who are downrange right now, the families who are home, I really hope if you're hearing this and you're experiencing it, think about, what you're saying, what you're going through. If you know somebody, this would be a great episode to share with them and say, hey, go to the After Action Report, listen to this episode, and maybe it'll help you.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because whether we get off topic, the rest of the world's okay with that. I think it's beneficial to those who are listening right now, whether you're a veteran, whether you're active military, maybe you're not even in the military and you're one of these people that travels for a living in your job, and there's a lot, traveling salesmen or things like that. We feel like a lot of these topics can help, and that's the whole point of what we do here with the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project. Roll right into eden-project.com. So I know you thought of this, but so where do we go from here?
With that, or with the next topic?
Or how do we leave out of that into to the rest of this particular show?
So the second half of what we were going to talk about, I think, still fits and still, it's applicable to what we're going to talk about now. You mentioned one thing, and I'll close with this as well. We live in Delta country. That's not Army Delta. When I first heard that, I thought, man, Delta Force, that's huge. Delta pilots.
Right.
And you're exactly right. The people that fly all the time, the people who travel for a living, they experience all this stuff too. So my experience is 28 years in the military, living this stuff, watching it. It's not just a military thing. We're living this and seeing this in other people's lives too. Yeah,
this is the, in case for those who are listening in other parts of the country or world, this is an area, and I often joke with my friends, where I say you can hit a golf ball, and I mean, you can't hit a golf ball without hitting a Delta pilot, a Chick-fil-A employee, or a real estate agent.
Oh, that's funny.
and I mean, it's true, because I'm in real estate. I work for Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A is this is their headquarters in Atlanta. Delta, biggest airport, busiest airport in the whole world. Half the guys in my men's group are pilots with Delta.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on.
Yep. So you're right. And I'm glad you tied that together, that although my experience is military, there's a lot of other people that deal with this stuff and go through this too. So maybe they'll be thinking about what we just said and kind of apply to their world too.
And it all comes back to one thing. I mean, obviously there's a lot of single people who don't have families, but this ties back into family.
Oh yeah.
And then that does lead into our next topic.
Yeah.
Families and faith.
Families and faith. One of the things that it's a core pillar of the Eden Project. We have 4 main pillars, and faith is one of the main pillars. You just have to have faith in something. You can, like a ship without a rudder, just kind of go through the water with aimlessly floating out there. But without faith, or with faith, it kind of gives you some direction.
Yeah, and one of the quotes that we have in our notes here from, it says, to one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I do like that. I like that a lot. And of course, and I want to preface this by saying, obviously, when you hear the word faith, most people go, God, okay? They think God, whether you're a believer or not.
Right.
But there are so many types of faith, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in God. So I don't want anyone to think that we're excluding and talking only about God, Christianity, or things like that. Right. This could be in any faith. Like I think I used the example earlier. We were talking about, I said, when I sat down at that chair this morning at breakfast, I had faith that it was going to hold me up.
There you go.
So, and I didn't have to think about it. I just expected it to be there and do its thing. Right.
Right. So we have a guy in our peer group last year, the year before, and he was the same place. He didn't have a religious background. He knew religious people, and I'm doing air quotes for those of you who can't see me. He knew of those kind of people, so he thought faith and religion was exactly the same. But after going through the lesson that we did in the peer group and things we're talking about, he understands there is a difference.
Oh yeah,
and his faith is growing in his way, but he understands that it's not in a God or it doesn't have to be just in a one God or something.
Exactly. Now, faith is not the same thing as religion. It's a critical part of who the Eden Project is, providing clarity to who the Eden Project is, and faith itself can also provide peace. Now, we looked at some definitions online, to prep for this to see, like what are the actual definitions according to Webster's that says, what faith is: complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Like I said, the chair, God, whatever you have faith in. I have faith in my wife that she's going to be faithful. Have faith in my children to get a job and go, whatever your faith is in. But
you have faith that plane you're going to fly in is going to actually fly.
Exactly. The door's not going to rip off, things like that. But then also there's the definition of religion. And that's the personal set of institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, practices, a worship of God, the supernatural, a cause, principle, things like that. And that's all from Webster's, and they're making it.
They can look that up if someone wants to.
The technical point of that right there. But as another quote, you can have faith without religion, but you can't have religion without faith. So if you are a believer, just remember that as well. So.
Yep. And so, people wonder, the two stories we talked about earlier, people wonder if they do have faith. They wonder, well, how can those families get off track, or how can those families have problems the way that they did if I have God or if I have faith? And it doesn't always work that way, does it?
Oh, no, gosh, no, absolutely not. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a misconception by some people who are not familiar with having a relationship with God, that everything's hunky dory and nothing bad ever happens. And that's just certainly not true.
Yeah. There's some good stuff. There's obviously good and bad and everything, but there's some good things that can come out of faith. Obviously, your eternal life if you're a Christian or have that kind of belief. But just having faith or faith can give you strength during trials. It gives you that confidence, and you feel that there's something bigger than yourself. So having faith gives you that strength and that confidence when you're going through those dark times.
Exactly. And so I'm just kind of rolling through some of the notes that we jotted down here, talking about like the many different reasons for it. Do you have a list for these, or the things that we were kind of like focusing on as far as, the different types of faith, the reasons for having faith, things like that.
I know you're reaching and pulling for us, but it feels like my brain turned off. I've had one cup of coffee this morning and I've spent it when I got us off track.
No. Well, for me, my day starts really early on these days, like 4:30 in the morning. And so I already had a couple of cups of coffee, but I think I'm probably ready for more. So there are many reasons for being to be strong in your faith. And you have a note for me here that says, here's 5 of them.
Oh, that's where you're going.
That's where I'm going.
Okay. Yeah. So the one that I just mentioned, it was on that list.
Okay.
It gives you the strength during difficult times.
Right. Okay. That's right.
That confidence.
The trials.
Exactly.
Trials.
I use different words, but during that time, it can help you discover your purpose. Purpose is another one of our core principles. And if you are lost, this is one of those things. Faith is one of those things that can actually help you find who you are and what you're here for.
Right, and we should probably say that it doesn't happen overnight. It's the difficult situations, no matter. And listen, everybody's situation is valued based on yourself, not anybody else's view. So something that might seem small to me could be very big for you. And a lot of times, they don't get better overnight necessarily. Right. Some things do, but not everything is going to be better overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not a switch that you flip on and flip off. That today is bad, flip, now it's good.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work that way. So a lot of things might even get harder before they actually get better. Sometimes. Yeah. So. Going back to this, it's the faith that gets you through it. It's your faith that can get you through it. Faith has a way of getting you through that stress, that anxiety, fear. Our Bible tells us fear nothing. So it gives you that confidence and that strength that no matter what's going on around you, that faith will get you through it. Exactly.
And I think the last thing is, this, it comes out of psychology as also with religion, but having that positive mindset or faith helps you find solutions. Mm-hmm. When you're negative and you're down and you're letting the world beat you up and everything is just overwhelming, you can't think clearly. You can't see the light, if you will, at the end of the tunnel. But that faith or faith can give you that calm to help you see through things and see solutions.
Yeah, and I love how that's. I love how that all comes together because, it rolls into all the other things that we've said already. Yeah. Having that faith, a way to continue to follow that, to try to stay positive because it's going back to the same thing that we talked about in other episodes. If you are a negative person and constantly thinking negative things, that's that's what you're going to see first. And right. I see that in a lot of people. You bring up something, so-and-so, well, they're probably just wanting money from you,
Right.
And then there's the positive thinking people. But then there's so many different things in life that when it affects you, it might affect you differently than it would affect me. And so how you handle that, how you look at that is a practice. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to get the same result.
Yeah.
That's been tried and true for years. And I know it's a famous quote, misquoted by multiple different people. If you keep doing the same thing over.
The definition of insanity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you have to get uncomfortable sometimes to make a change.
Yeah.
So if you're going through something in your life right now and you're struggling and maybe it is a lack of faith, maybe it is something with God, maybe it's just finding a better faith in a different human, whether it's your spouse, a best friend, maybe becoming some sort of organization that you could reach out to as well.
Yeah. Good point. Like that conversation we talked about yesterday, the young lady. That's still, I think that kept me awake all night. A friend of ours saw someone in a restaurant. He was being nice, just being polite, like this guy is.
Right.
And asked her how her day was, how things are going. Kind of an innocuous comment, right? It's like just what we say to most people.
I think he said something like, how's work going? Because she's in the entertainment industry a lot like myself, being an actor and such. But I'm not sure what involvement she is. But he said,
but she lit into him. The nails came out. They say if looks could kill.
Oh yeah,
brother'd be dead right now.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough.
Oh no, because I think he even tried to hey, listen, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If I didn't mean to bring up a bad topic or whatever the case may be. And what was his quote? In the name of Jesus, I pray that everything goes your way.
Yeah, it wasn't even that heavy. It was just, hey, I'll pray for you.
Oh, okay.
But she had walked away, got her coffee, and then came back for round two. And that's when it literally looked like she had punched him. He took a step back. He says, I'm sorry, I don't know what I said, or something like that. He goes, but I'll be praying for you. And what she said next, just again, the first comment caught me off guard. That second one really, really caught me off guard.
Say it. Say it.
I don't need any prayer.
Yep. I just need action, I think is what I was. I've had enough prayer. I don't need any more prayer.
Yeah.
I need action.
So maybe between that interaction the comment over the weekend, it really made me feel like the topic today was important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you just said, if you live in negativity, you that's all you know, that's what you're going to spew on other people.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be doing it on purpose, but man, that came out rough from her yesterday, and today still I'm affected by her comment yesterday.
We're both still thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, and on that very same day, because I think I was in that coffee shop earlier in the day, and I saw a lovely lady who I see all the time, Miss Karen, and she said, "How you doing?" And I was kind of having a particularly it's been kind of tough for a few days, and I just smiled and said, I'm good. And she said, well, you paused on that. And I was like, because I don't want to speak negative things. I want to keep in a positive frame of mind. And she said some lovely things, and I took it well. And I didn't come back at her like the young lady we're speaking about. Who wants that in your life? Do you want to walk around and be like that type of person?
Right.
You don't need to be that way, because you affect everybody else. Look at that lady's comment is affected my friend Don, and then you and me, and we're thinking about it breeds negativity into life.
And I'm willing to bet that that's how the rest of her day went, and she doesn't even realize that she owns that.
Right.
She can change it if she wants to. She can change herself and the people around her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, well, I'm hoping that our talk today, the talk about faith and the positivity and negativity, I hope that this is a light for someone listening right now.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody who does struggle with, I'm just kind of antsy and just always,
yeah.
Maybe you can look at it again. It's not going to come easy. Anything good is going to take some change.
Yep.
And change is not always comfortable. Most of the time, change isn't comfortable at all.
And if you've lived this way, if that's all you know, and you're just now recognizing, wait a minute, I can change something. Yes, you can. You absolutely. If you got that way, you can unget that way. I know that's probably not proper English,
No, that's okay.
But you know what I mean.
Let's just slide on this one, buddy.
Thank you. But if you recognize it and you want help, we're here to help. There's lots of organizations. If you're not in our area, you can call us. We can help you find someplace.
Right.
Or that's really cool thing. Oh yeah, the internet. You could.
Oh yeah, the internet. Exactly. Well, again, and I think the first key is if you realize, I'm a negative person. I'm not very friendly to everybody. Knowing there's people out there that are that way, and they don't think twice about it.
Right.
They just think that's just part of who they are and all that. And there are people like that. But I think when you recognize it and then maybe say, you know what, I'd like to not be that way.
Amen.
So we have faith in you who are listening and watching right now.
I like how you tied that in.
To make a change. If you feel the need to make a change, and only you can make that decision, or maybe somebody around you tells you, hey, don't be a butthead anymore. You whatever situation you might be in. If you recognize it and you want to make a change, there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
And if there's something going on in your life and there's anything that we can do to help in any way, Eden-project.com is our website.
Yep.
You can find us on Facebook as well. I'm sure YouTube channel as well. Got some videos there. And
so for the folks who have been faithful listeners over the past 5 episodes now and following Eden for the last 8 years, there's some new changes coming to our website. We're going through a big change the next month or so. Be looking for that. Look at it now, and then maybe come back in a couple weeks and look at it again.
Yeah, and we thank you so much for listening. We are coming to you from Trilith, Rome and Trilith. It's right outside of Fayetteville, Georgia. You can look that up on a map and see all the happenings going over here. We're grateful for them. They have a lot of wonderful office spaces here, and they provide a nice work activity outside your regular office.
Amen. Thanks for throwing that in there, Michael.
Oh, thanks.
And thanks for being here. This it's a great part of my week. I really appreciate the time that you take out of you got so many things going on. I appreciate you taking this time out of your schedule.
Yeah, one of the episodes, we're going to get a little bit more into the personal sides of each one of us and talk a little bit, as you become more familiar with the Eden Project itself, we'll talk a little bit more about us and our personal lives too, because we're regular people, just like the people who are tuning in right now. So again, thank you so much for being part of the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project.